What up guys, Dreadshells here and welcome back to World of Tanks. I hope all of you guys are doing well. It's been ages and ages since I've done a decision making video, so I am going to rectify that here today. Today we're going to be looking at a game that I had in my T49 on Ruinberg standard mode. And it's a tier 10 game. About half of each of the teams are tier 10 and most of the rest of the teams are tier 9. There's quite a bit of mobility on both teams. We have a couple more mediums than the enemy team does, but their Guerrilla 15s aren't slow tank destroyers, they're quite mobile tank destroyers. I've talked about in my previous videos when you're going through the battle countdown timer and analyzing the team compositions, I'm not really so much looking at heavy tanks, mediums, tank destroyers. What I'm looking for when I'm analyzing what kind of team the enemy team and my team is armor, mobility, camo, view range, firepower. And what kind of firepower is it? Is it high alpha? Is it autoloader guns, DPM guns, all these kinds of things? Those are the kind of things that I look for when I'm analyzing what kind of a team it is. So both teams are quite mobile. So 3 scouts on the enemy team, some fairly mobile heavies, a couple mediums, and their Guerrilla 15s, and the same thing for us. So this is going to be quite a fast-paced game right from the start, looking at it from the team compositions. And as far as where to go on Ruinberg, you don't have a whole lot of options as a scout from the south spawn, even more so than the north spawn. Let's see if I can go into free cam here. There we go. Gonna speed up the camera here a little bit and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Now for Ruinberg, from the north spawn is a little bit different than the south spawn. First of all, the north spawn over here has an advantage in taking control of this small village area off to the east side of the map. First of all, they have the advantage because this their spawn area at the start of the game is a little bit closer to this middle street right here than the south spawn is to their side of the ridge here. And they also have an advantage when they get there. If you look down the center of the street that goes all the way into the actual main city area, you will see that it makes a diagonal turn here towards the south. Yeah, I guess that would be south. This is an advantage for the north team because when the north team pull up here and sit along these ridge lines and into these houses here, they can shoot down the middle of the street area while still staying on their side of the ridge. The south team here does not have that luxury. The counter to that, of course, is over here in the city, that the south team has an advantage in crossing this middle street here early, all the way over here by the cathedral, and crossing this line right here. Let's see if I can keep going all the way. Crossing this line right here and getting into this pocket right here. And from this pocket right here, you can shoot back down this street for tanks that might like to go into this position early as well. So that's kind of the counterbalance to it. The south spawn has a little bit of advantage in getting the angles, control angles in the city, while the north spawn has an advantage in controlling the village. So with that in mind, I want to be conservative in my approach line and waiting to see how many of my team are going to push up. Remember, I'm a bottom tier and I'm a light tank or a scout tank. I don't have any armor and I don't have a lot of hit points. So I need to let my teammates dictate the pace of this game and me support, especially in a smaller map like Ruinberg. So let's just get started. So right away, that is what I'm going to do. Like I said before, I'm going to take a conservative approach line here, kind of on the J line, K line, waiting to see if enough of my team are going to take point. You really don't want to take point in a scout and a close quarters map like Ruinberg. And I start turning towards the small village area here as soon as I see that we have a couple of mediums going over here and that our Guerrilla 15 is moving into support over there on the G7 area. Alright, gonna pause the game here. Right away, you need to deduct, usually when you see a platoon on the enemy team and you see one spotted, generally most of the time the rest of the platoon is close by, within a couple hundred meters. So even though they're not spotted, I need to be keeping in the back of my mind, okay, so there's only 4 of these enemies spotted here in the field, and of course they have several tanks here along the FE line street, horizontal street. But there's more tanks here than what's just spotted, and because of that, I need to count heads. 1, me, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if the other guerrillas are with his platoon mate, that means that we're actually outnumbered here in the field. So I need to be keeping in the back of my mind while I'm engaging here that we might need to run away. Breaking down that brick wall here, as you know, T49 derp gun shoots HE, and you can't shoot through destructible, rubble, fences, that kind of thing. Really bad reaction shot there. I pulled the trigger way too late, and the Guerrilla 15 was lucky and was able to reverse out of my line of fire. That was totally a bad marksmanship error on my part. And the Guerrilla is able to hang on to all of his HP for now. So right now I'm just being really careful peeking this. I'm actually probably shouldn't even be peeking that at all. I should be letting my mediums peek that for me. And there I just got spotted. And I'll explain why I got spotted and why I didn't spot anything in return here. Once again, going into free cam. Alright, so when you get spotted and you... there's several reasons why you could have gotten spotted, but you didn't spot who spotted you. When I was peeking this corner right here, the last time I drove out and then drove back, my turret was not all the way around this corner. When you're trying to spot an enemy tank, the actual game mechanic part that is used to spot the enemy tank is right here at the forward part of your turret, usually, and at the top of your turret. And since it wasn't all the way around the corner, I could not see whoever was sitting here. But because I showed exposed part of my hull around this corner, whoever was sitting here, most likely the Guerrilla 15, was able to see through, have good enough view range to see through this bush and spot me as I was showing part of my hull. So that's how I got spotted. There we go. So once again, I bottom tier light tank. I don't want to be pushing the pace of the engagement. Waiting to see where the Guerrilla 15's looking there. He's not paying attention to me. Go for his turret there, but unfortunately don't pen my first shot out on him. Unfortunately, I can do 910 average damage, I believe is what it is, so plus or minus 25% of that is the potential of the roll. But luckily our team are able to back us up and take out the first grill. Now that I know the Guerrilla was going to go for my Guerrilla, and he just fired, I know I have a free shot at him here, and I'm able to do a big chunk of damage to him in return for killing our Guerrilla. And now I'm going to pause the game here. Like I said at the start, see if I can go into free cam again. Like I said at the start, remember when I said that when the first Guerrilla was spotted over here, and then because he's in a platoon, generally platoon mates stick together. So we were already outnumbered on this flank, and now because we just lost one of the tanks over here on our side. Plus, we didn't fare well at all here in this E5, E6 area in our engagement. We're now dramatically outnumbered. With the Conway here, we're now outnumbered 2-to-1 on this flank, and I need to relocate and retreat. First of all, I'm going to cross the street here, take the risk that someone might be looking down here, but get into cover from as many of the enemy guns as possible. When you're trying to protect yourself and get into cover and you have multiple potential enemies going to shoot at you, don't try to be into cover from all of them. Usually it doesn't work. Take the option if that is available to you, but usually people end up, when they're trying to stay in cover from everyone, they end up being in cover from no one and they get shot by everybody. So put the most amount of cover between you and most of the enemy guns. So I know where all these enemy guns are, so I want to put this line of houses in between me and them as I retreat. Posting up here a little bit to see if I was going to get a shot on the gorilla, but I'm not. Shot on the move there on the T10. Dodge over here to the edge of the map, and we make the T10 miss with my movement. Unfortunately, take a shot of damage there from the Object 140. And we take another shot of damage from him. He's showing some pretty good marksmanship right there. And right now, I'm not concerned about shooting at all, right? I just want to get away and to get into cover and try not to die. Alright, now that I've evacuated the area, and I'm a fast tank, right, so they don't want to bother chasing me right now, I can post up, since they're all concentrated on my T-22 buddy out there in the field, and I was able to stop, post up for a second since I put enough distance between me and the enemy. It gave myself enough time to stop, turn around, aim, and fire, and I was able to take out one of the Guerrilla 15s. And now again, keeping my distance away, right? I have a long reload, and I have not very much HP and no armor. So as long as my teammate's alive there, the T-22, I'm gonna stay and support him as much as I can, and I get another really nice shot into the Leopard PTA there. Side shot, as long as the tracks don't eat it, you can usually pen Leopard PTAs and similar targets for full damage, as long as you avoid the spaced armor, of course, since you're firing HE. Alright, so now let's take a look at the tactical situation. Alright, so the tactical situation is, now it's turned into from a north versus south fight, from the traditional spawns, into an east versus west fight. My team were really heavy here in the city, and they won their fight here. And the enemy team were really heavy over here in the field in the small village area, and they won this side of the map, and they have control of this flank. So now it becomes a vision game, right? I stayed alive. I probably waited way too long to retreat, and I took a couple of shots from the 140 because of it, but I'm still alive, and now this is where light tanks become much more valuable than they would normally be during the early and middle game. Now, my team needs me to be reconning these diagonal streets that go into the city, right? We need to know where the enemy is flexing, right? There's mainly 3 diagonals that go into the city. Vision areas, the south one right here, the middle one right here, and the north one right here. And since my Skoda buddy here and the Egg Tiger have eyes down the middle street, I don't need to be there. The E4 is posted up here in cover, and as long as the enemy doesn't come through here, he will be okay. He has eyes on if the enemy will come around the south corner. Where we're blind is in the north. So I want to go over here and scout this backside diagonal that's technically the enemy team's side of the city. And I need to see if any of the enemy team are coming back to try and flank and encapsulate our formation right here. Nothing down that street. Go around this corner here, and I go extra wide right here. And that is going to keep me from getting lit from this convoy for a couple seconds. And I'm glad that I went over here. Unfortunately, my shot went high and left there, and we missed the convoy. Also, I didn't give a perfect lead on to him. Most of that was RNG. Now I'm in a really, really bad situation here, unfortunately, because of where the enemy already has positioned himself. As you guys can see there, it's really important to give intel to your team. Just because of me just spotting this convoy coming down this diagonal street along the backside of our formation, our team immediately are reacting to it, right? And as long as his teammates here are slow in reacting, in encapsulating either from the south or from the center, this guy's actually isolated himself and our team can tag team him. Unfortunately, now I am trapped between the convoy and the arty. But the high danger right now is, to me, is the arty right here. It isn't the convoy. The convoy is further away from me, and if he wanted to push across here and to shoot me, the Skoda on my team would be able to stop him, or at least make him pay and shoot him in return. So the greatest threat to me right now is the arty and not the convoy. Our Batchat Artie here has come around and flexed. He didn't stay here in the south. He was afraid that the Gorilla and the 140 would wrap around and kill him. So a pretty decent move, although I would have stayed maybe back here, maybe in F1 or in G1. So now he's in direct line of fire to the enemy 261. So that you'll have a little Artie duel here in a second. Alright, staying in cover from both of them for now. Our Skoda's put a couple of nice shots into the Conway, now he's down to a one shot. Unfortunately, he makes a really bad move there and drives in front of the Conway while the Conway's pre-aimed. I take advantage that the enemy Artie 261 has just killed our Batchat Artie. I know he's on a reload. Holding my shot here. Really important technique for you to do when you're playing the T49. Maximize your shots. You're playing a derp gun tank and you only get so many reloads in a game, right? So maximize your damage potential any way you can. And of course, this is Artie. He doesn't have much armor, but you'd be surprised at what shots don't pen with this gun. So yes, I could have shot him as soon as I drove around the corner, and I could have shot him in the front, but it's a decent likelihood that I wouldn't have penned and killed him. And he's a 261, so he actually has a really decent reload, and he would have reloaded if I hadn't have killed him in one shot here. Spoiler alert. He would have beat my next reload, and he might have killed me. So I'm holding my shot for the best possible pen angle. You can do this not just with Artie, but with tank destroyers that have soft back engine blocks like the E3, the E4. The back of American tanks are exactly the same, where hold your shot so you can actually potentially max pen and do the maximum amount of damage. So we get to his side there, guaranteeing that in all likelihood that we'll pen him. And we just had another exchange of tanks. The Gorilla 15 has just killed our Jagdtiger, and the E4 drove around the corner in the meantime after our Skoda just died to kill the Conway before he reloaded. Alright, so a lot is happening here in this game. It's non-stop action, and I want to explain each of my actions here. Alright, going into free cam again. Alright, so you always need to be putting yourself into the mindset of any enemy players. It's always their tendency of players to push and engage when they think they have an advantage, right? Whether they have an advantage is another story, but after I killed the 261 here, I saw that the Object 140 had come back down this north diagonal street. Luckily, I wasn't shot by him, and it was kind of unexpected for him to be there, but now I know where he is, right? And so now the E4 on my team knows where he is. So if I was the enemy Gorilla 15 and I knew where the E4 is and I knew where I was last spotted, where would I try to be going, right? I would be wanting to flank the E4, right? Since the Object 140 is on the other side of this E4. The Object 140 would be coming down this street like this, and the Gorilla 15 would be coming down like this. So I'm anticipating that the Gorilla 15 is wanting to come down this middle street to flank our E4. So I immediately flex back from the corner that I was at over here and come back here to get vision on this middle street to see if that's what the Gorilla 15 is doing. And looky there, we just anticipated him correctly, coming to flank our E4, and now he knows he's spotted. Unfortunately, it won't do him any good there because I have some bushes. Even if I hadn't have hit him and killed him there, the E4 in our team, I gave intel to that the Gorilla was trying to drive up behind him, and he would have been able to turn and react in time as well. Now it's a 2 versus 1. And I'm going to pause the game one more time here. I'm taking a gamble here, and it might have not been the best play for me to do, but this is what I'm trying to do. I'm anticipating once again that the Object 140 will have been seeing that his teammate, the Gorilla, was closing in down this middle street, and he would have been trying to do the same by going down this north street through C3, D3, and E3, and come up like this to flank the E4, or at least engage the E4 frontally, depending on which way the E4 is looking. So I'm thinking that I want to stick with the E4 as much as I can. The most safe route that I can take here is actually disengaging and coming back here and going all the way up this south diagonal street that's from the south spawn and going all the way back out into the field like this. That is at the time that I was thinking it was going to take too much time for me to do that, and more importantly it would have separated me from the E4. I want to stick with the E4, right? The Object 140 has a really fast reload, and the E4 on my team can't kill him in one shot from his last known HP. I think it was around 1,000. So I want to stick with this buddy, my E4 buddy, because he can't kill him, and if he even if he pens the 140 could likely kill this E4 before he reloads his next shot. So I want to stick close with him. So now I'm trying to go down this middle street here to try and cut off the 140 here wherever he's going, so that we can encapsulate him, right? Because if I go over here to the center area, as long as I get the camera to pan around, if the Object 140 is still in this location right here, the E4 has this avenue covered right here, right? So the Object 140 cannot cross this area without the E4 seeing and potentially shooting him. And if I go over here, I prevent the 140 from coming over here like this and escaping into this side of the map as well. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, it doesn't work out as planned, but something else will pan out for me. Checking behind me to see if the E4 is following me, and it turns out the Object 140 has flexed out into the field. Really close there. I was trying to drive into cover from the 140. I wasn't sure if I was going to get spotted, and I almost drove into my E4 teammate's shot. Went right over my right shoulder, and he was able to nail a snapshot on the 140 before he was able to cross the street and to get into cover. And now we have the Object 140 trapped, right? Even though he's a tier 10 medium, and he's still got a decent amount of HP, we got him trapped in the corner of the map, right? And we want to keep it that way. I want to keep eyes on this guy and know where he is. I don't want him to escape back here on the minimap. I don't want him to cross this middle street and get back over here, right? We want to keep him in this quadrant of the map right here. That way we'll have two angles of attack on him. Probably 50-60% aim shot there, and luckily it hits, and we do a nice chunk of damage there to the 140. And now our E4 is pushing here across the open of the field, so I want to get closer to this 140. Not only is it really important to be using your eyes when you're looking and observing the battlefield and deciding what to do, use your ears, right? As I was, oh, there we go. I just got a text from that. Sorry. Just as the E4 was driving across the field here into the open, I knew that the Object 140 would be starting to shoot at him since he wasn't in cover, and so I was started to move up here. And I heard, as I was driving up here, I heard my E4 on my team fire, right? So now I know he's really vulnerable, right? The 140 can sit here for 2 or 3, potentially even 4 of his reloads and shoot this E4 before my E4 either can get into cover or before he will reload again. So I want to close the distance and engage this 140 quickly before he kills my E4 teammate. So we get to the side of the 140 here from another angle, and it doesn't really matter where we hit him there as long as it isn't in the mantlet, and we are able to do enough damage with our HE shell to secure the kill and secure the game. I want to give a shout out to this E4 on my teammate, Lord Morpheus. I'm not sure how well he did. I don't remember from the score sheets. But as far as the end of the game, he was a great teammate to work with. was always reacting to what was going on here on the North Street or on the Middle Street. He took a really nice tactical position here, here in G3 that was towards the late game initially, to make sure that if the enemy were wrapping around the south, we would know. But as soon as the enemies were spotted here and here, he reacted to it immediately, and he supported me in each of the moves that I made, and I was able to do the same in return for him. So that is one of the fundamentals, techniques. Just I don't know, supporting your teammates is sometimes a little frustrating because sometimes they make bad moves, but you got to remember sometimes you make bad moves as well. So try to, if it isn't going to have you bleed a lot of HP and get yourself killed, try to support your teammates as much as possible in a game. Support them while they're still alive, because if you don't, they'll die, and you'll be forced to engage the enemy alone. So do your best to support your teammates while they're still alive, and that will give you a better chance of winning the game. As far as the outcome of the battle, I was actually able to secure an Orlix medal, which is kind of cool. Don't get that medal very often at this high tier in a tier 10 game, so that was pretty nice. And was able to do a decent amount of damage to tier 10 tanks, which was able to secure an ace tanker. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and learned about some of the tactical positioning on Ruinberg, and learned about trying to anticipate enemy movements. Good luck out there on the battlefield, and take care.